Terry tweeted, reasons to watch FBI Most Wanted? Kellan Lutz, bitch, where do I sign up? Joining me now is the star of CBS's new crime drama, FBI Most Wanted, Kellan Lutz. Welcome.
That was a good one. That got me.
The people are excited. So I want to know a little bit more about your character on this show.
Sure.
Who is he and how would you describe him?
Kenny Crosby, I play Kenny Crosby, and he is an Army vet. He's struggling with PTSD, and I think episode 6 or 7, it's really heavy on what PTSD is with the bad guy and the correlation between any sort of trauma. And I am the young gun, the newest recruit of this special task force of the FBI, and we go after the most wanted, the people who are just doing the most heinous, terrible crimes that it's got to be pretty bad to be on that list, and we go after them and bring them to justice.
So you mentioned your character's PTSD, and I know in real life, actually, you have 2 brothers who served in the military.
Good job.
Did you talk to any of them about their experiences and draw on that?
When I first shot a miniseries for HBO called Generation Kill, I chatted to my older brother, Drexel, quite a bit on that one, and I portrayed a character named Jason Lilly, who is based off a real person, and to this day, I'm really good friends with him. So as I'm doing this one right now, FBI Most Wanted, I got to call him up, especially for that special episode, and just pick his brain a little bit more to dive deeper. And funny enough, growing up in Arizona, I had a next door neighbor who was FBI. He was retired. So his name was Mac, and he would tell us every time we were over there, the craziest stories, to the point where you're like, he's just making this up. And then now, being a part of a show, these stories that we're shooting, you're like, no, he wasn't. There's a lot of crazy in the world, and we go after the crazy.
So how close do these stories, some of the characters that you go after, the bad guys that you go after, how close are they to some real life stories?
I feel like we take a lot of the storylines from real life events, and we change them a bit, but they are pretty much real life scenarios, and the bad guys and the stories, you know, you can turn on the news and you see a lot of terrible things, and then when you do a show like this, it's great because we're able to catch the bad guy every episode, unless they take themselves out or we have to, but we bring them to justice, and that's not always the case in real life, right?
Well, this show comes from iconic producer Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
Many people may be familiar with Law & Order and all of his shows. Did you watch any of his shows before?
So I'm from the Midwest. I was born in North Dakota, and we have a farm in Iowa. And I mean, Dick Wolf, everyone loves Dick Wolf.
Yeah.
Especially in the Midwest. I mean, we tune in all the time. And so I've always been a huge fan of Law & Order, and you know, now I have tons of friends on the Chicago shows. I have great friends on regular FBI, Missy and Zico. So being a part of the Dick Wolf universe is one of the best things for an actor, especially in the season of life that I'm in. My wife's pregnant right now. We wanted consistency and stability, and we wanted to pave that road for the family that we are soon to have. And to be able to clock in, clock out, be a part of a great show, love my character, love my cast. I mean, Julian McMahon is such a great actor to work with and human being. So it's really nice when you work with someone, and for the show, potentially 20 years, I mean, it's awesome.
What do you think about true crime that has withstood the test of time? I mean, I feel like right now, there's just a hyper interest in true crime, like especially true crime podcasts. I just feel like it's really especially having a moment.
I mean, I get hooked all the time, and my brothers, we have a group chat. I have a lot of brothers, and we always talk about the true crime stuff, especially the podcast. One of my brothers, David, just listens to tons of podcasts, and he sends them my way. But there's just something so interesting, especially with the psychology of what causes someone to do something. And then also if the mystery's unsolved or if a cold case happens, from American Greed and Dateline, 2020, there's a lot of these shows that are just, they captivate you. I get sucked in all the time. So now we get these really gritty scripts, and we get to bring them to life. Thank God our show's on at 10 p.m. because even the first one, episode 18 that we shot for regular FBI, that little backdoor pilot, it was pretty gruesome. Like it's cool that we're able to shoot that. They feel like mini movies, but for TV.
Now, in the past, you've actually done quite a bit of charity work, in particular with the Saving Innocence charity, which is for child victims of sex trafficking. Will the show touch on any of these kinds of modern crime themes like that?
Yeah, there's, especially the one we're doing right now, it's dark. Like these scripts, you read them and, it really just, it's disturbing. Like there is evil in the world, and if it doesn't disturb you, there's probably something, you should ask yourself why it doesn't. And with all these different episodes, there's some points that you're like, man, this actually was taken from a real life event, and how tragic that is. Also, a unique thing about our show is you get to see the humanity of the bad guys. Because not everyone is evil. Some people are doing stuff because there's an injustice done against them or their loved ones. And so you see this sort of roller coaster arc for them right at the beginning. So it draws you in. You have an understanding of why they did what they did.
Now, speaking of your charity work, you've also supported some notable animal charities. Have you been paying attention at all to the wildfires happening in Australia?
It is so tragic. I've worked in Australia. Man, it's a weird time in the world right now. And it's tragic. I remember I saw this one on social media where this lady rescued a koala off the street and had all those burns. And I just have such a special place for animals because they can't tell you when something's hurting. And, so much of their habitat's been destroyed and their species have been destroyed. And that koala, unfortunately, passed away. But I can't imagine it. And I just don't know what the answer is, right? Because we have the same issue in California, not to the degree that's happening in Australia, but what do you do with all the brush? Like, what do you do?
Well, I do want to switch gears to talk about some of your other work. And when Brett Gallman asked Twitter users what movie they think they've seen more than anyone else, Kelsey responded, "Stick It. I knew that movie word for word and could probably still recite it if I watched it right now." Stick It was your first movie, right?
It was.
Would you ever want to reboot it or see it as a series?
Oh, heck yeah. Kelsey, that's a cool way to spell your name, by the way. And Missy was in that as well. So she's regular FBI.
Yeah.
So being able to work with her, I remember when that was my first movie, I had no idea what I was doing. But I loved just being myself and letting my personality and my humor come out. And I loved BMX. I used to ride all the time. And I had such a crush on Missy once I met her. I'm like, are all actresses this pretty? And she was just such a tough cookie. It was really cool. So it's definitely, I'd love to do that again, especially if Jeff Bridges came back. He was the coolest actor I'd ever worked with. And the advice that he gave me, with that being my first movie, he's like, Kellan, make your life outside of the industry. Like find your happiness in your life and make the industry fit into your life. And that just rings so true, because our industry, they're working really hard to like spit you out and not keep you there. And that can affect your personality and your just self-love for yourself.
I mean, what a guy to get some advice from, like right out of the gates,
Yeah.
Well, you're also well known for playing Emmett Cullen in the Twilight series. Do you keep in touch with the cast still?
Some of them. Some of them. Some of them. I just had a convention the other day for ForeverCon in Orlando, and I got to see some of them. But yeah, it's a really unique thing, because that movie, it's like pulling one person from every clique in high school.
Yeah.
So the jocks, sort of got along with everyone, but then you have the artsy people who were really introverted and shy, so they didn't really get along with everyone because they were just so shy. And then you have like the spunky cheerleader like Ashley, who is friends with, we're friends, and Peter just worked on our show.
Did you get to see them at the convention? Who else did
They
you
weren't there. They weren't
okay,
there.
Got it.
Yeah, we had Kiawa and then Eric was there, and Jodelle.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite movie from the saga? Do you ever reminisce?
Twilight was my favorite one with Catherine Hardwicke, just because everyone was so just themselves. We didn't have security or bodyguards. I could throw the football, and Taylor Lautner was there to catch it. And then, you do the second movie, you're like, I can't see you, Taylor. You have too many bodyguards around, So it was just different. It was different.
But we are also fresh into the new year, and I feel like a lot of people have different kinds of resolutions. Do you have any career goals for 2020, or is there anyone you really just want to work with in general?
Oh yeah, there's tons of people that I want to work with, and right now, I feel like I've hit my goal for this year because my wife's pregnant, and she's 5 months pregnant. We're having
Congratulations.
a baby coming up, and for me, it was more in my earlier parts of my career. I loved doing movies because I got to see the world, but I was single. Or for the most part. Now that I'm married and we want to start a family, that's my new priority. So I want to prepare for that. And with doing so, I want to have a stable job and I want to have something that I can count on and it's consistent. I'm not traveling all over the world. I can check in, work 16 hours, check out, see the kids. So I'm in that stage of life and I'm really excited for that. But there's tons of people I'd love to work with. And I'd love to, that's the great thing about the show and the pedigree of actors that we get to play with guest stars. I mean, Matthew Lillard's on the show, and I've been a huge fan of his, and we play chess to this day still. And we have a really cool cast too. So it's really cool.
Yeah. Well, congratulations on the show. Congratulations on the baby this year.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
FBI Most Wanted airs Tuesdays at 10 p.m. on CBS. More AM to DM is up next. Thank you.
Thank you.